Good morning, everyone. It's Lee Henson, President and Founder of AgileDad, and it's time for today's episode of the Daily Stand-Up. So without any further ado, let's get started. Today, I wanted to discuss with you a takeaway from yesterday. So yesterday we talked about, but we're different, right? We're different. We do things differently. And I hear this all the time in organizations, but you don't understand we're different, right? And we concluded that the first step in the journey is to help figure out where they are on their Agile journey. Where are they on the path? So the question that begs the question, how do we discover where they're on the path? What are the steps that we should take, right? And whether you're just a scrum master inside of an organization trying to decide this with your team, or whether you are the C-level executive who is figuring out where you are in the Agile journey for your organization, or even if you're a strong Agile coach just trying to pull things together, this should be the time when you need to, and this seems to be a pretty popular question that I get. I guess I'll start there. A lot of people come to me and they say, now, Lee, there are 100 different agility assessments. There's the Agile Health radar. There's all these different things. And I'm not saying that any of these are bad, but people really want to know where they are in their journey and what areas they need to improve on. And the truth is, many organizations believe they're in a really good place. They go out and they hire a whole bunch of people with certain credentials, even with certain certifications. They go out and hire a whole bunch of people who have qualifications and previous experience. But what they don't recognize is that just like any other position, when you bring those people in, you're taking in their good habits and their bad habits. So what winds up happening is some things they learned are absolutely proper, the right thing to do, and other times they've been guided to make bad choices. So this begs, then what we're going to do is, so I'm trying to take you through the journey here so you can picture this in your mind. So what winds up happening in most organizations is that now that leader says, we need consistency. We need people to be on the same page. We can't keep having people bouncing all over the place. So we're going to create an internal Agile Center of Excellence, and we're going to put together a document that's going to document exactly how we're going to do Agile, and no one's going to deviate from said document, and it's going to make us a better organization. Now, while that thought is really good and it sounds like a good idea, once again, I want to go on record as saying anyone who's going to use a completely dogmatic approach to how they're going to do Agile is going to fail. I've seen this in every organization, from SAFe to the Scrum Alliance to you name it, where there's been certain instructors or certain people or certain coaches or certain trainers who expect for things to be delivered in a very certain way, for things to be, for every learning objective to be covered in a very specific fashion, and when people go to a class and everyone has the same 50 slides or 100 slides or, heaven forbid, 1,000 slides, and it turns into a death by PowerPoint session instead of an actual coaching engagement where you're talking about the real problems they're facing, what winds up happening is you get weak training, you get people who aren't prepared, and someone has to make up that difference. Someone has to do something. So this is when leadership steps in and they bring in someone to create an Agile ecosystem that's based on previous success in other companies so that their company can be successful. I think you just heard the problem. If you're basing your ecosystem on what's been successful in their ecosystem, it's going to be hard for you to apply some of the things they applied, especially if their company is not your company. So now we're back at square one again. Where do we start? What do we do, right? So I wanted to point out the frustration first because I feel it, I hear it, I see it every day. And to get through that frustration, you need to understand how to assess where you really are. Now, the model that I like best to do this is a model called GROW. And I've talked about it quite a bit. I ask individuals, I ask teams, I ask organizations. So why did you choose Agile to begin with? What was your goal? What was your whole purpose of choosing Agile? What was your goal? And I want to make sure they understand what their purpose was, what they were trying to do. Were they trying to streamline delivery? Were they trying to increase awareness with their customers? Were they trying to shorten a feedback loop or create a feedback loop? Were they trying to better their product or service? Were they trying to eliminate technical debt? It could have been any number of those things, right? But I want to know what the reason is behind the season. I want to know why they chose to do the things they do. I want to know what problems they're trying to tackle, what things they're trying to make better so that we can focus on those things. Second part of GROW is reality. This is where I ask them, okay, if that's our goal, then where are we now? How far away are we from that reality? Is that reality even achievable? And what I've discovered is that within certain organizations, that reality is closer than they think. And there's a few simple steps we can do, and we can get them on their way. And this is where some of the more prescriptive, hey, try this, try that, works really, really well. In other organizations, I find that they're a far distance away from where they think they need to be, in which case we need to do some experimentation, figure out what steps they need to take next. Oftentimes, this means addressing things that they didn't even know were part of the issue. For example, I went to a large organization. They had a ton of outstanding technical debt, but their goal had nothing to do with technical debt. Their goal had to do with getting a faster feedback loop. And I was like, the problem is you're getting a really fast feedback loop when it comes to the things that are wrong, but your feedback loop when it comes to new features is very slow because your team is moving at a snail's pace to get those new features to market. And the reason they are is because they're covered and bombarded with technical debt. And there you have it. It's just kind of all pieced together. So sometimes what you need to do is a root cause analysis to figure out why you're in the situation you're in today, so you can figure out what your reality is and how you're going to get to your goal. And that covers the O in grow. This is what opportunities or options do we have? Because I think sometimes we feel trapped. Like the only way we're going to do this is if we institute this one policy, or if we put this one thing in place to ensure that people put everything in an hour so that we can keep track of our time and keep a better focus on, there's always something, right? And the truth is, there's oftentimes better options. And this is where having a really strong Agile coach or leader helps. If you have someone that can talk about what those options are and can help guide you through those options so that you can look at those opportunities and say, wow, I didn't realize I had so many different options. Which one's going to work best for our organization, right? And that goes to the W. What will we commit to do today? What will we do? What is our one thing that we're going to commit to do and say, yes, we are going to do this. We are going to lock in on this piece. And I think that that's the key, because honestly, here we go. I'm going to give you another one of those $1 million coaching answers here. Ready? The problem isn't that we don't know what to do or we can't get there. The problem is we forget that the one key to successfully doing Agile or Scrum or Lean or any of those in your organization is commitment. And I think that we lose that because we don't understand just how much of an impact commitment has to the organization. I mean, without commitment, you're pretty much lost. So I think what I'm trying to say here is step one is to understand that not everyone is a one-size-fits-all model. Step two is to learn how to use the grow technique or other techniques to assess where you are so that you kind of get a gauge of where you are on a baseline so that you can figure out what you need to be doing. The next step is going to be figuring out what opportunities or what options you have. And I think that oftentimes that step is the one where people spend the least time when they should be probably spending the most time. Observing opportunities, trying to figure things out, measuring success, figuring out where we need to go. And we'll save that for tomorrow. So I hope that you took away some valuable knowledge here. I think the key is that there's no single health assessment, radar assessment. There's no single tool that I would point to and say, that's the one that's going to give you everything you need. I think you need to make sure you're measuring value correctly by assessing what the strategic value of your product or service is to the organization, what your consumer value is, whether or not they feel like it's a good, strong return on investment. And of course, what the technical value is and whether or not it's going to help you with an infrastructure architecture solution later so that you can make sure you're building the right thing. Because I feel like if you focus on those things with regard to your Agile implementation, with regard to your product or service, that it's going to make you stronger and better. It's going to help you get to where you need to be. So that'll do it for today. Keep it nice and short and sweet. I encourage you, if you want to learn more about this topic or others, visit agiledad.com. We've got lots of information out there. Also, if you want to recommend a topic for us to discuss, don't be afraid. Reach out to us at learnmore@agiledad.com, where we'd love to hear from you. As always, we encourage you to stay healthy, stay well, and stay agile, my friends. Until next time, do take care.